Hi,
Hello.
Daddy.
Welcome to our channel. My name is Sam.
My name's Ryan.
And welcome to our channel.
What?
I did those out of order than I typically do, but hey, you just got welcomed twice. So, welcome. Look at that, a third time.
You know that here in the Dadverse, we are always talking about mental health and self-betterment. Because we both go to therapy, we're strong proponents of therapy and of mental health in general. We want everyone to have the healthiest and happiest mental health journey that they possibly can.
And so today we are going to be talking about why we believe everybody should go to therapy. And also, guess what?
It's a sponsored
This video
post,
is sponsored.
Daddy. Sponsored.
Boom, boom, boom,
Hey,
boom.
are you sponsored? Yup. A little scene there, a little scene there with myself.
That was
Do you like
cute.
that? Yeah, one-man play.
I did.
It's called Sponsored.
Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video.
We are big proponents of talking about mental health and therapy because it affects everyone, ourselves included. Between the two of us, we have enough anxiety and depression to keep a whole team of therapists occupied, and so we're really excited to be sponsored by BetterHelp here because it just seems like a great fit as we can give you resources to enrich your lives by tackling the mental health issues that may be interfering at this time.
You might be wondering, what is BetterHelp? Well, BetterHelp, that's better, H-E-L-P, will assess your personal needs and then match you with a licensed professional therapist.
This isn't a crisis line, this isn't like a self-help line. This is professional counseling done securely online. And once you sign up, you can start communicating with someone within 48 hours, which is actually an incredibly fast turnaround time.
And some people have the perception that therapy may not be accessible to them, but BetterHelp is available worldwide. You can log into your account anytime, anywhere, and message your counselor.
And signing up is honestly very, very simple. You just indicate what kind of counseling you're looking for, enter a little bit of your personal information, like your gender and your age, let them know what issues you are looking to work on, set your location, put in your credit card information, and that's it. From there, you're set up to work with BetterHelp's network of over 15,000 licensed professionals who you can message anytime, anywhere.
With using BetterHelp, you'll also get timely and thoughtful responses from your counselors, all online. You can schedule video or phone call appointments, so you never really have to go in and wait in an in-person waiting room ever again.
And it's also more affordable than traditional offline counseling. And there's financial aid available should you need it. And if you go to betterhelp.com/SamandRyan, you can get an additional 10% off your first month. So that's a whole lot of litty financial information in case anyone felt that that was sort of a burden or a barrier of entry for you. BetterHelp makes that less of a worry for you, which is great. So thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. All that information is down below in that good description. And again, we love this collaboration because it really fits well with what we talk about often and also what we're going to be talking about today, which, like Sam said, is that we genuinely believe everyone should see a therapist.
Because everyone can benefit from seeing a therapist.
So we thought a great way to sort of begin this topic of like why therapy is so important for arguably everyone. It was maybe useful to talk about like the history of therapy and kind of like where it comes from. You can trace psychotherapy back to 9th century Persia, which is, and this is true, a very long time ago. Taking things more modern though, therapy became very popularized in the West in like the 1950s. And medical minds and professionals became increasingly fascinated not only with human behavior, but with like our thoughts and feelings as well. As is the case with almost anything, an increase in the popularity of a subject leads to an increase in those who understand it really well, but that often creates a fissure in culture, and you kind of see this with anything. People who understood therapy really understood it, but people who didn't understand therapy really didn't understand it, and I think that's still kind of true today. I think there are just more people who do understand it. But the good news is, with the introduction of social media, real people were able to spread real narratives online, telling their stories, and thus giving ordinary people access to the real and legitimate need for and love of therapy, especially talk therapy. Now, another thing that I think is probably important to talk about, especially in terms of therapy, is sort of like the stigma around it.
Yes.
Because now people are seeing that therapy is in fact not reserved for people who are like so crazy and incredibly damaged,
Yeah.
but it can actually help anyone with anything.
For me, growing up, therapy wasn't all that stigmatized in my family because a lot of members of my family went to therapy. It was never something that carried a lot of shame in my family from my perspective, so I was very much aware of therapy. However, I individually never went until you actually started your own journey with therapy, and I had also had a few other people around me who had started their own journeys as an adult, and that really just pushed me to go, you know what? I'm gonna go to therapy. And I was really excited about it because I framed it in my mind as preventative maintenance. I want to invest in myself, work on being a healthy person, and who knows what could happen in the future. I want the tools to be prepared. Like, I was going into it very like, this is just preventative. But sure enough, like after my first therapy session that I did online, I was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff for me to unpack. Like, all of a sudden, it wasn't necessarily just preventative anymore, which is one of the reasons why I think everybody should go to therapy. Even if you just think you're gonna get some tools for self-care and like it might be preventative, like we've all been through so much, especially in this last year.
I love the point about preventative maintenance because if nothing else, that's a great reason to go to therapy. But yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people, and again, this comes from the stigma, people misperceive therapy as reactive.
Yeah.
That something happened to me, so I have to go to therapy. But sometimes therapy is proactive. Something might happen to me at some point, and having a therapist as one of the tools that I can use whenever that thing may happen is going to help me deal with that thing in a very healthy way, instead of packing it away, not dealing with it, pushing it down, and having it show up 20 years later.
Yes.
Therapy can be both retro and proactive and incredibly useful. And all that being said, the point that you made that I think is really important, because you were like, I never really considered going to therapy until people in my life started going to therapy and talking about how positive of an experience it was.
Yeah.
When people around you start doing it, you want to start doing it, which is why we feel it's very important to talk about it on this channel. And if the roots that we plant spread to other trees and you start going to therapy and talking to your friends and then they start going to, this is how stigmas break. And this is how mental health awareness spreads, and we can actually change the fabric of society and culture about this topic by normalizing it. Having a resource that's not going to judge you, that is literally obligated to do no harm and to help you without judgment, without fear, without shame, being able to vent all of the things that you feel to them, but never having to go, and how are you? You don't have to burden yourself with their stuff. They just take your stuff, help you with it, and that's it.
And they are licensed professionals.
Teeth.
It's such a beautiful thing that in society now it's more common to talk about your positive experiences with therapy. I have heard some older generations kind of go, well, like therapy is it's like a trend right now. It's like a trendy thing. This is the best trend that could ever happen.
Right.
I am all for it, like for the normalization of therapy.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't think there's been an easier time to try therapy, especially with online therapy, like the sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. They, again, even have financial aid. Sometimes people feel like the finances are a really big barrier there, but like there are resources to help you in order to still be able to do therapy.
Maybe money's tight, I get it. Maybe your family's not super supportive of it, I get it. Maybe the societal shame is a weight that you don't want to burden yourself with, I get it. There will always be reasons not to go to therapy, but I promise you, if you sit down and genuinely and honestly make the list, the reasons to go, no matter who you are, no matter what you've been through, will far outweigh the reasons not to go. So, to answer the question, why should everyone go to therapy? Because everyone has been through or will go through something in their lives. And why is now a better time than ever to start? We have access to more psychological triggers now in this world than anyone ever has. It's not 1890 anymore. 100 years ago, if something happened in a village 5 miles away, there's a good chance you would literally never hear about it. Now something could be happening across an ocean, across the world, or even in space, and we know about it within minutes. It's incredible to have access to that much information, but it's also incredibly burdensome. Why wouldn't you want to empower yourself with someone who is medically qualified to help you unpack with, deal with, and let go of some of that weight?
And again, you might be in a family or in a town where you don't feel like therapy is supported, but therapy has never been more widely supported by society.
It's an active contribution in tearing down the stigma around mental health. The more people do it, the more people from outside will say, maybe I want to do this.
Exactly.
And or people from the outside saying like, wow, I've been judging this for a long time, but if everyone's doing it, you know, it's kind of one of those can't beat 'em, join 'em sort of things. Like, the more people who bravely self-invest unapologetically, the closer we get to that world. So if you have been waiting to start or wondering how to do it, maybe this is your sign. And if you're looking for a great resource, BetterHelp is there for you. And thank you again for sponsoring this video.
All of that information is down in the description, so please, please, please sincerely go check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We love to talk about this subject matter here on our platform. This is our way of trying to break down that stigma of mental health. So hopefully you guys enjoy hearing us talk about it. As always, be sure to like and subscribe. And we will see you all in a future video.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye.
Go to therapy.